So if you remember, these are the deities which I've given in the introduction to the D10 chart and how to read it in the first video in the playlist. You can look it up. But just to recap, the deities are the archetypes of energies which a person will have, which they bring to the profession in the D10 chart. Now, mind you, these deities or these archetypes are only meant for D10 chart, not so much for D1 chart. Okay, forget the natal chart for the time being. Only the Shamsha, the 10th divisional chart. 0 to 3 degrees leadership, 3 to 6 degrees strong work ethic, determined people, 6 to 9 degrees Yama, discipline, strong sense of responsibility, 9 to 12 competitive spirit, 12 to 16 excellent communication skills. Other things are mentioned. I'm quickly recapping. 15 to 18 degrees, they are very dynamic and flexible, quickest to adapt. 18 to 21 degrees, it's more of financial wealth, astute sensitivity, right? Accountants kind of. 21 to 24 degrees is ability to find purpose and meaning in life. This can once again apply to all kinds of professions, mind you. Just because you're in the medical field doesn't mean you're stuck in hospitals or clinics all the time. You might be able to bring a higher meaning, like Dr. Hegde in India, right? He's bringing a higher meaning to medical science. 24 to 27 degrees is intellectual capability and innovative thinking. 27 to 30 degrees is stability and long lasting success. So, mind you, all of these 3 degrees and 10 divisions in the D10 chart, in the career chart, are very important to consider. So, any planet or point in those particular degrees will have a propensity, will have a drive in that particular direction. That's all it means. It will have that quality. Okay. This is very crucial to understand. So you should understand this when you're determining the qualities of the planet in a D10 chart. Now let's see Pushya Nakshatra, what it brings to the table. So let's see. Careers for Purva Bhadrapada Nakshatra. It falls more in Aquarius, the first 3 padas, although the most exalted form of Purva Bhadrapada falls in the last pada of it, the 4th pada, where it goes into the Navamsha in a higher, exalted form, so to speak. So let's get into the careers for Purva Bhadrapada Nakshatra. Aquarius. Think of Aquarius, the other half of Aquarius when you think of Purva Bhadrapada. Talents and abilities. Now, if you go through this career, you will know that there's not much happening in the mainstream earlier on. These days, it's a lot more spiritual nakshatra. Okay. Spiritual and mystical pursuits. Now, light workers may be interested in this. They may excel in spiritual practices and mystical pursuits. That's not very mainstream, is it, these days? It is. They may thrive as spiritual leaders, gurus, meditation teachers, energy healers, or in roles that involve guiding the masses on spiritual journeys. It's interesting how we have a specific take on what is mainstream and what is not, right? These days, we just think it is just management, finance, engineering, doctors, mainstream type careers. Look at Purva Bhadrapada. Next one, healing and alternative therapies. They may excel in healing professions. They may thrive as Reiki practitioners. How about that? Holistic therapies, Ayurvedic practitioners, or in roles that involve promoting well-being through alternative modalities. Whenever you think alternative healing modalities, think Ketu, okay, in the chart. Think the south node of the moon. Even spiritual pursuits, I have put Jupiter, Saturn, and Ketu. The power of Jupiter and Saturn together with Ketu is very highly spiritual in nature. Of course, you've got to see which house it falls in. For healing and alternative therapies, it may be more of Saturn, Moon, and Ketu. Moon is very healing, so is Saturn, which makes it grounded. Creative and performing arts. One doesn't typically think of Purva Bhadrapada as healing, as creative arts. Okay, healing, yes, more like spiritual, yes, very much like. Creative and performing arts. They may excel in creative and performing arts. They may thrive as artists, musicians, poets, writers, actors, or in roles that involve creativity. For that, you got to observe Jupiter, I think, is also there, Mercury, Venus, Mars, and Rahu. Rahu is very creative in nature. It looks for alternative stuff, but when combined with all of this, it becomes very creative. Think whenever you think Purva Bhadrapada Nakshatra, think the combination of Saturn and or Rahu because it's in Aquarius. Social service and philanthropy. They may thrive as social workers, counselors, activists, volunteers, or in roles that involve working towards the welfare of the underprivileged communities. Hey, Aquarius as you can get. So Shatabhisha, the previous one which we saw in Aquarius, was more of going into abstract and making it real kind of professions, whereas Purva Bhadrapada is really Aquarius. It's really going out towards the masses. As you can see, all of this is more geared towards healing the masses. Psychology and counseling. There you go, next one. They may excel in psychology and counseling fields. They may thrive as psychologists, counselors, therapists, life coaches, or in roles that involve guiding and supporting individuals through their personal challenges. Now, for this, I would suggest look for Jupiter, Moon, and Rahu combinations in Purva Bhadrapada because these planets are more good at psychology. Jupiter plus Rahu plus Moon will give a very good ability to do mainstream as well as alternative kind of counseling, right? Something which I also do, like look at the chart and then do counseling, because then you can see where the propensity really lies. Okay. Research and investigation. There you go, more like 8,000, 12,000. They may excel in research oriented professions. They may thrive as researchers, scientists, detectives, forensic experts, or in roles that involve investigation, analysis, and uncovering hidden truths. So, the power of Saturn to work with the masses in doing all kinds of beneficial work, all kinds of healing work, all kinds of investigative work really lies in Purva Bhadrapada Nakshatra. Let's see how this plays out in the different ascendants. So for the Aries ascendant, it falls in the 12th and the 11th house. I'm taking even the last pada because that's the Vargottama type. Pushkar Navamsha, they call it. It's more of the exalted form of the nakshatra. I've not dealt much with this, yes, I know, but maybe some other time. Now I'm going to put the important career paths for all you people. So how does it play out here? Once again, we take the same rule. We go back to the ascendant. What's the ascendant in D10 in Aries? Ashwini, Bharani, and Kritika. So for Ashwini, it will be more like healing. Ashwini is a very healing type energy. The one face of Ashwini is healing. There's horse-headed twins. Bharani will be more like social service and philanthropy, certainly, especially when going into both 11th and 12th house, I would think, both the Purva Bhadrapadas. Whereas Kritika will be more of research and investigation, especially in the 12th house, because research and investigation is more of background work. It's not so much of coming to the forefront. The researchers are always working in the background. But when it falls in Aquarius, it may be more like healing and alternative therapy. That could also be one. Okay. Now for for Taurus ascendant, we get in 10th and 11th house. Now, especially when it comes in 10th house, Aquarius, for Taurus ascendant, it can become a dominant signature when you're bringing to your career. Means these people may be more interested in spiritual matters, in mystical matters. Taurus ascendant, right? So spiritual and mystical pursuits may become one, healing and alternative therapies, performing arts. Let's go to the ascendant. There are so many combinations that each time we have to go back to the ascendant in detail to see where the dominant drive is. If there are more planets in Purva Bhadrapada, we have Kritika, Rohini, and Mrikshirsha, as you can see in the ascendant. Kritika will bring more of healing and alternative therapies, right? Rohini will bring more of social service and philanthropy, even creative arts. Rohini is highly creative in nature, artists, musicians, poets, and so on. Vrikshisha will bring more of psychology and counseling. It's a softer nakshatra. Okay. Psychology and counseling, if it's in 10th, if it's in 11th, it may go more into social service and philanthropy. Vrikshisha. For the Gemini ascendant now, it falls between 10th and 9th house. Purva Bhadrapada. For the Gemini ascendant in D10. Remember, we are seeing only D10 for now. Same principles apply to D1 also. The only difference being deities are not applicable to D1, only to D10. These are the rules. So, what are the ascendant combinations we have? Mrikshisha, Ardra, and Punarvasu. Right. Mrikshisha, once again, in 9th house, will go into social service and philanthropy. Even research and investigation, 9th house is the house of learning, Guru. Whereas in the 10th house, so Mrikshisha might go in for creative and performing arts. Ardra will definitely go into research and investigation in both the houses. Gemini is a very thinking mind. It's an air sign. Punarvasu, on the other hand, may do a lot of social service and philanthropy. Punarvasu's signature is of one of the signatures is of social service. They're highly inclined towards teaching others social service. Okay, they may even go into spiritual and mystical pursuits when it is in the 9th house. For the Cancer ascendant, now we are going Purva Bhadrapada between 8th and 9th house, like you can see there. 8th house matters of hidden stuff, research investigation. 9th house more like teaching and altruistic, which is very good for Purva Bhadrapada right there. So if you have a child or if you are basically Purva Bhadrapada, don't get disappointed when you don't connect with this damaged world. Okay. You can do something in all of these areas. It may not be very mainstream, but these days you can make your career in just about anything, right? Even like YouTube. So let's go to the ascendants. Cancer has Punarvasu, Pushya, and Shlesha. So Punarvasu will be in 8th house, especially it will be about psychology and counseling. That's what comes to mind. For Pushya Nakshatra, it will be more like psychology and counseling as well. It can be about social service also. I'm reading off the list there. You got to watch all the planets and points. I don't want to keep going over that again. Okay. And for Ashlesha, it's definitely going to be psychology and counseling or even healing and alternative therapies. Or Ashlesha has the secrets of the poison, like the snake symbologies of Nagas. So it is of snake. So it knows the healing modalities also. Just on a side note, do you know that homeopathy is 80% of medications are poisons and they are healing? All right. When it falls in the 7th house, as it does for the Leo ascendant in D10, we have three combinations in the ascendant: Magha, Purva Falguni, and Uttara Falguni. Right now, it's falling between 7th and 8th house. So it may do Purva Falguni, Uttara Falguni, both can do something like social service and philanthropy, right? Whereas Magha can do more of creative and performing arts, especially in the 7th house, because Aquarius is right opposite, right? Going out into the world and doing creative arts. For the Virgo ascendant, now we are talking Purva Bhadrapada between 6th and 7th house. So what does Virgo have in the ascendant? So Uttara Falguni, Hasta, and Chitra Nakshatra. So Chitra is more of creative and performing arts, especially when it falls in the 7th house. Hasta will be more of healing and healing abilities, hands-on healing. Reiki is hands-on healing. Okay, meditation teachers, yoga teachers, probably Reiki healers, that kind of spiritual and mystical pursuits of healing and alternative medicines, even when it's in the 6th house of disease. For the Hasta Nakshatra, they can become very good healers. Hasta, hands-on healing, that kind of healing modality. For Chitra Nakshatra, of course, creative and performing arts. For Uttara Falguni, also it may be more about social service and for the Libra ascendant in D10. We have three possible ascendant combinations: Chitra, Swati, and Vishakha. Now, Purva Bhadrapada falls between 6th and 5th house, right? 10th and 11th sign of Capricorn and Aquarius. Okay. So for Chitra in 5th house, especially, it can become very powerfully performing in creative arts, musicians, actors, dancers, dance, drama, right? Okay. All of the creative arts, performing arts. For Chitra in the 6th house, it may become more of social service and philanthropy. Same for Vishakha, philanthropy, more of philanthropy. Vishakha falling in the 5th house may become more of psychology and counseling. Swati is very individualistic, so it may become more of spiritual and mystical pursuits when it falls in the 5th house, especially in Aquarius. Okay, because 5th house is also the house of dharma. Okay, dharma exalted form is in 9th house, but this from the previous life, what carries over is the 5th house. Research and investigation more on 6th house for Swati can be. We have to see other planets and points for this. For the Scorpio ascendant, we have the ascendants of Vishakha, Anuradha, and Jyeshtha. Anuradha might become more of social service and philanthropy, even psychology and counseling, because now Purva Bhadrapada is falling between 4th and 5th house, especially in the 4th house, with dominance of planets in Purva Bhadrapada and ascendant in Anuradha for Scorpio. It may become a strong indicator of psychology and counseling careers. For Vishakha, it'll become more of creative arts. For Jyeshtha, it is more like research and investigation, but also of spiritual and mystical pursuits. Kind of. More of creative and performing arts, I would think, even for Jyeshtha. For the Sagittarius ascendant, now Purva Bhadrapada falls between the 4th and 3rd house. Let's see what's in the ascendants. Uttarashada, Purvashada, and Mula. Mula, especially going into the 4th house, if the ascendant is in Mula, planets and points in Purva Bhadrapada, it would indicate a dominance of psychology and counseling. So would, yeah, Mula Nakshatra, yes. Purva Ashada, Uttarashada will be more of creative and performing arts, especially in the 3rd house where Aquarius is strong. Purva Bhadrapada is strong there. For the Capricorn ascendant, now we have 3 combinations: Uttarashada, Shravana, and Nishtha. And now Purva Bhadrapada falls between 3rd and 2nd house. Let's just see the 2nd house parts, which is about earning money. The Mula. Uttarashada will be more of spiritual and mystical pursuits. Shravana will be more of social service and philanthropy. Also about creative and performing arts in terms of speaking, because this is the 2nd house of speech, talking, life coach even, possibly, right? It involves a lot of talking. Dhanishta, on the other hand, may be more of creative and performing arts, as in singing, because it's a house of voice, right? So, 2nd house is everything to do with speech. So, think of that. Now, for the Aquarius ascendant, it comes right in the 1st house. If you have Purva Bhadrapada as an Aquarius ascendant in any one of the nakshatras, now we are talking about Purva Bhadrapada. Okay, the first 3 padas of Purva Bhadrapada are in Aquarius. All these listed talents may apply to whatever you're doing. You may be even a mainstream profession, like whatever is considered mainstream these days: finance, accounting, doctors, lawyers, even farmers, but you will bring out all these abilities. This will be always pulling you towards that kind of a thinking. This is why I call it talents and abilities more than actual job, as in job. Okay, think that. Lastly, for the Pisces ascendant, now the Aquarius falls in the 12th house. That will become research and investigation, psychology, counseling, social service, philanthropy, all of that 101. Okay. This is where Pisces shines. If you have planets of points in Purva Bhadrapada in ascendant or in the 12th house for Piscean ascendant, because it's a water sign, and Purva Bhadrapada is most exalted in the last pada because it's about emotional satisfaction, the moksha pada. What are the ascendants? Uttara Bhadrapada, Revati, and Purva Bhadrapada. Especially if it's in Revati and 12th house, you'll be doing a lot of philanthropy, a lot of giving away your wealth. You may earn a lot of wealth and you may give it away also. Uttara Bhadrapada, if it is in Uttara Bhadrapada in the 12th house, in the Pisces, it can become more of creative arts, creative and performing arts. Yeah, more of creative and performing arts. So the next one we shall see Uttara Bhadrapada. Meanwhile, take care, be safe.